Okay, what's up, Zeezer, Zeiser? Um, so let's get in this review. Let's try and make it sort of quick. The main things I noticed from watching this is for tank, there's a couple things that are your job. Your like if I had to describe your job as a tank, the biggest thing you need to do is manage pressure. That's the job of the tank. So that's like intentionally taking pressure in order to put out pressure. That's that's like anticipating where the other team's pressure is coming from and doing something about it. Like I'm Ryan, I charge over where the soldier wants to be, and I throw my shield down and cut off his ankle, right? Or I go stand where someone wants to be and I can kill them with my hammer. Um, that's like those are two different things, but it's all like sort of anticipating what the other team's gonna do, and then also like having a kind of a plan for you and your team, and what kind of area of the map is good for your team to fight on. Like right now, you're pretty much a brawl team. You're like brawl with a Zen Bab, like a poke um, support lineup. So you want to fight kind of close quarters, but also somewhere where your Zen and your BAP can support you with like a bunch of damage, basically. They can put out a lot of damage pressure onto the other team, but you need to kind of allow them to do that. And then the other thing, like the other main way to create pressure is to threaten to kill something, like threaten to do something. Um, and then either follow through on it or get them to respond in some way and then back off and try to do something else that's dangerous, right? Like Ryan, he can threaten showing up from a random angle and getting a pin, getting a one shot on someone. He can threaten a big fire strike for a lot of damage. Actually, two of those and get like a lot of ult charge if everyone files through, kind of one thing. And then, of course, his hammer. If people are close enough to him that he can swing on them, and they can't do anything to stop him from doing that, he can put out like a lot of DPS, one of the highest DPS characters in the game, and it's cleave, so it damages like anyone around him, right? Now, in order to do that, you have a couple tools. You got your charge, which helps you like cover distance really fast or disengage really fast, but it's like sleepable, it's interruptible, hog can hook you. Um, and then you have your shield, which has like a lot of health, but you need to like manage that health so that if you're in the middle of swinging and they hear the big burst of damage or an anti or something like that, you're able to put up your shield and survive long enough. But anyway, like kind of in general, what I see like the biggest kind of shortcomings in your game are like making space isn't always just about like pressing W towards their tank and even getting him to back off. Um, because there's other angles, there's other lanes on the map. The tank is in like one spot, but usually on a map, let's like play a little bit of this. But usually on a map, there's three different paths or lanes. If you watch any A10 content, he's really big on this, though I don't actually think he explains it really well. It's kind of like a MOBA concept, but if we get here and we look at the point, right, there's kind of three ways you can go, right? So you can see your Reaper is here on like the coast lane, the left lane. You're running down main here, and then there's this right one that goes all the way under here and then through this bridge. And those three like continue, right? The first one goes straight to point. Second one goes to the right. It's like a little more cover. The coast one has a bunch of different short flanks, but then opens into this area that's like controls. If you get this area, you can work your way with all this cover into controlling like this area, and then certainly you have high ground onto the point. Both of these have high ground onto the point. The point you have to capture it, which that'll come up later. But the other thing, and this is true of like a lot of King of the Hill maps, is it's actually kind of a death trap. It's super open, right? It has high grounds overlooking it, like on all sides, right? So if we're fighting on the point and we're Ryan, we don't have a lot of options to back up. We can back up like over here maybe. If we feel like we've won some space, we can back up under here, but then we're in trouble if they like get resources back and then push on you, right? So in general, most sort of higher level games, and I'm only masters, so I'm not like the highest level, but I am, we do like play it kind of normally at that rank. Most higher level games, we're either going to take a push over here to control this for our longer range characters. Like if we can get our Zen Bap here, controlling these sightlines, we're in a really good spot. Or depending on kind of what's going on, we might look to push into here and push out here. And the beginning of the fight, like, and the Mega over here is also a big factor, but the beginning of the fight is kind of like we're going to vie for who has the best setup on a point. Or if we like start killing them, that's great. The second thing about that is you push on your resources, right? Like we have our shield, we have our charge, whatever. Ryan's biggest resources are kind of his shield and his health, his armor. When we don't have resources, we want to have a plan for like backing up and getting our shield back. We don't want to be caught out with our shield broken in a bad spot where we're gonna get just like murders row of Anna Slat, Anna Anti, Hog hooked, right? So we're coming up. I like that we're taking the left side. The one thing you haven't really done and probably should do after this fire strike, take some cover here. Check where your team is and what lanes they're trying to get in, right? And lanes is just like kind of what parts of the map is someone looking at? Is it going to be hard for the other team to go in, right? We need information right now. So we can see our May is kind of working away main, sort of, but they're all kind of coming to you, right? And that information is important because Zen and Bap, they're spamming down this sight line, right? So we want to be playing somewhere that forces them into that line of fire, right? Would probably, this can be dangerous, but if we know what they have, it could probably be this way. And that forces them to back up this way, right? And they're getting shot from range all this time. We want to cut them off before they can like rotate onto our core here. That's kind of our job. And we don't want to get too spread out because we got this May Reaper and we want to play as a unit and catch the walls. Right? So I think this is mostly fine. I'm not sure you need to like hold shield as much as you are. You want to be really specific about what you're trying to do with your shield. In this case, it's kind of like we're afraid of getting any Ana cooldown on us, but we can block them both, and we're afraid of getting hooked. We don't want to, if we don't have to, we don't want to give up free shield to the Hog, because he'll just chunk it down with his shotgun. Right? And so we missed our pin just a little bit, and now we kind of have two options, right? We can further push in onto these guys who are kind of on the back foot. We see this Ana, she definitely used nade just now, and she doesn't sleep for a moment, so we could maybe walk on her. But we want to keep track of the fact that we don't have any armor, right? We killed their tracer just now. What we don't want to be doing is fighting at a distance from Hog, where he can just spam us kind of for free and look for a hook on us or our team. We need to Hog, like, you either need to make him cross space to get to you, or you need to cut off his space. So he doesn't have any room to operate in, like come in and look for a hook, like around hook distance. Like on a Zen or something. So we either need to be holding like this corner would honestly be really strong. Would have been a good place to back up to. Um, or we need to just be like charge out and get around the corner here. I like that you're coming back to help with the flankers behind you. Although you didn't like look. I'm not sure if you like know that. Like we're forcing them into here. The problem with this, or the thing you have to know as the tank, is we're not going to be able to just walk through this choke straight at the hog without paying like a pretty significant cost. And our team is way behind us, right? Um, if it were me and I got a kill, I'd be looking to make sure no one. The next thing you need to do is like make sure there's no one else to deal with. Clean up the dudes behind you and back up and just kind of like set a distance. Like here is fine where you are, but it's just to prevent them from coming forward. We don't need to go forward into them. We've made the space around a point, and we want to make sure the cap happens. And something you can do to kind of imply it is back up onto here. Your team is naturally going to align based on where you are, right? See how they're doing it? So it's not like it's pretty on your supports for one of them to make sure after you get a pick, 2 picks now, that the cap happens. But the other thing I see is that, right, we're pushing W into them. Fine, we get that. We need to be looking at kind of the scoreboard. These guys have come up because they're afraid you're going to die. They want to support you. Um, we need to be keeping track of, like, especially after we kill the tank, they're not going to push right now. There hasn't been a cap, right? Kind of mass psychosis because there was a half a cap there. We got that. We come back. We can't. We don't want to walk through here into their spawn. Our Reaper, he has Fade. There's a Mega here. He's gonna get out. No one's gonna kill him. At this point, the staggers like let's pretend the point was cat. The cost of walking all the way through here is not worth like the benefit of holding Ryan, like holding this sort of like spam comp with our brawl comp outside of right outside of their spawn because they'll just like come back, right? And we're increasing the chance that we'll get picked and then they'll just walk point, right? Because the further we go, like the further away our spawn is, it's all the way across the map. So if we take a fight like all is 5, up there we really, really, really spawn camp them. That's sort of one thing, because then maybe we respawn and we can actually beat them at the point and take a second fight before they cap. But in ranked, and especially this like kind of level, like low plat-ish, right? Like metal. Um, we're not probably coordinated enough to execute some sort of like a near spawn hold the way like an out team might like just camp on this thing and push that way and then rotate that way. We're just not gonna probably do that. We're just gonna have someone kind of say, "Witness me," and go kill themselves. Right. So we're doing this for the tank. Oh, we'll just go all the way back. Again, so like again, I'm not saying it's your fault the point's not been capped, but I am saying, did you see how like when you backed off, your team backed off, you can kind of control their positioning as the biggest dude with the big shield, right? And even here, we could take this fight and hold them at this choke, but we have to keep in mind how we're gonna back up, because if we just shield and walk straight back like this and just press S, we're going on this long open sight line, right? And that gives Hog what he wants, right? He wants to just like spam your shield down from a distance and then hook ya, or hook someone else on your team, or spam you to get you to back off and then look for this open hook on BAP, right? So if you're gonna play this way, probably the better corner to hold is here, where you can fully disengage. And then if they really push you and you get low, you can back off all the way and then charge back, right? This line of sight, it doesn't give you a lot of options to back off on in terms of cover, right? And now our shield's like low and we're like broken. And the biggest problem here is we've used like 3 ults actually, and we've gotten any capture percentage, right? And we're like in their spawn, especially when the Reaper dies. There has to be an alarm bell the closer you get to their spawn. When the Reaper dies, you do not want a 4v5. We just pin all the way back to spawn. Our Zen died too, I think. So we need to be like looking at our team. And this Bab, he probably wants to get out too, but he has to stick around to make sure you don't die, right? That's a little bit of mechanics, but it's also just like not really having a plan. Okay, and so like what I was talking around kind of, if we just watch the way you back up, watch how this happens. Right? We bend up in a straight line, trying to get our shield to hold on, like all the way this way. Right? So they just like walked towards us and spanned us until we died. Right? We want to avoid that on Rein. I was trying to think like why this corner is better, because I intuitively know it is. The reason is it doesn't have these bricks here. Here you can't disengage. You can't hold down the corner so well. It's like better for like a hog or something, where you get a little space from it, or maybe a sig, or a czar perhaps. But even then, you don't really have an outlet too. You're just stuck in this corner here. Whereas with Ryan, you could swing and be like right here, swing right here, and this gives you a safe place to stand to line up your pin and get back, right? Or walk over here and get this mega perhaps. Come around, hold here, right? But does that make sense in terms of like there's the thing that I'm seeing is like there's not a super clear plan for like if they start pressuring me, what am I gonna do to like absorb that pressure or wait it out? Because like especially with the damage changes and stuff like that, being patient and really clear about where you want to fight is really important. Like where do I want to fight where my DPS can help me, the rest of my team can help me. We want to make them. Need to slow this back down. We want to make them walk that distance into us from a place of strength where like our team gets pinned down instead of back up a really long straight line in a really long straight line and take like a bunch of spam, especially now they swapped Orisa. So back to what I was saying about like the point being a death trap, right? I know that they capped and it sucks, but we are never ever ever gonna win a fight walking down this way. Like maybe if they're all standing here or something like that. We need to rotate in such a way that we take a bunch of attention, but we can also back off. I think walking down here, I think you're gonna go this way. That's like kind of okay. Orisa wants to keep you at arm's length. So you also see if you can push this way and see if you can get her off. Or at least to use like her gold or something like that. And if she uses a spin, you can just pin her. Um, and then also this old friend is pretty useful too. Coming here for the position. And looking for a pin into their back line here. A charge, and then we can shatter from behind or something like that, right? We need to be like, okay, middle space, 3 people can shoot me in the middle lane. This way, 1 person can shoot me. This way, a couple people can shoot me, but not for long, right? This lane's unoccupied. This is their weak lane. That's their strong lane. Does that make sense? So like here we give out so much of our shield to kind of get to here, right? It's not very like, you don't have like a clear plan that you go and do, right? We don't really get that much other than hunkering down here for this, right? There's no reason we couldn't have just gone around here and done the same thing, like land a swing on Orisa and probably like forced her out. You know, it's like she's not going to get healing very well from over here, right? Her Anakin's here. I think we're going for a shatter here. But again, you just kind of like blind pin into a bunch of stuff, right? So here we have our shield gone, 3/4 of our shield gone for 1 swing. At this point, like, we need to cap. We have low shield. We need our shield back. We don't have full armor, but we've gotten a pick, right? No reason to not just come over here and hold here instead of just here in the open, right? Like, it's like that scene in Monty Python, The Holy Grail, where the dude's like running across the entire field to like come kill the guards, and they're just like looking at him, right? Like, they see you coming for so long. And Orisa's backing up into here, right? Because you didn't really do anything into her. And your team can't see you over here. Right? I think we're looking for like a hero shatter. But once we get that pick, like the longer the fight goes on, the more likely we're to win. Like they're gonna have trouble pushing without using a bunch of ults, right? And imagine if you had held here, gotten your shield back, and they tried to push with this. Because Orisa used her gold when she was backing off, right? And that's what you're waiting for the shatter, because then she can't do anything about it. So imagine if they'd use this ult and tried to push with this down this way, and you've been there. Then we shatter their whole team, right? We don't need to like force a shatter to happen, and if we're going to do that, we need to force them to kind of come into us instead of like trying to get into the middle of their team where we can't even shatter everyone. Like when we're here, like we have dudes on 3 sides, we can shatter like 1 or 2 of them, right? And it's not as good. You want to back off for a bit, maybe act like you're, oh, I'm so scared, shatter, right? So we're just kind of like, there's not a moment where you're regrouping. And then I get that you want to switch. I have a bit of a problem with just like throwing away your ult. I think you do eventually get an ult on this map, but I'm not sure there's anything on this team that is exactly like forces you to switch, but it is an open map, and like for me personally, like they have a Cass, they have an Ana, they have an Orisa, I have a Rein, a Reaper, and a May. Like I'm pretty sure I can roll them if I set it up right and get a nice short approach onto them, like from cover, a nice short flank, and we get a wall, and I can overrun someone. But now on the Orisa. So again, we're like taking space at the wrong time, right? No one else can use the space that you're taking. Your team needs to come through here and sort of spread out and probably push this lane again, right? Because you're bulk comp, but you probably go where they have some guys, like the nearest people you can overrun. And it's going to be hard to get a wall on this guy, although you could maybe go like here. With Orisa, it's not so bad to maybe push a little this way because you can shoot this open space, right? But what you don't want to do is end up in the open space with nowhere to back off. Um, but yeah, this is just like pressing W. We got half our armor gone. We do have a cooldown. But we don't know like where our team is. And we're not like expecting them to do anything in particular, trying to figure out what they might want to do. Like this Reaper, it looks like he's trying to take an angle here. So maybe what we want to be doing is like coming around this way and forcing him over to where the Reaper's gonna be so that when they back off he like jumps on them. But we're just kind of like eating a buttload of damage. Our most important cooldowns forced, and our team isn't even like near us, and we're like, yeah, they have room to kind of walk through here. Also, there's like they're like fighting an echo in a backline, right? That you shot at earlier, right? Like, yeah, they can walk through here, but we could probably force them back and maybe get a javelin spin to like block Cass's and Ana's damage or something like that, Orisa's damage. There, we're not like trying to get our team anywhere. We're just kind of like pressing forward in that space, right? The other thing is like you really want to use your javelin spin first before you gold. Um, like you eat a bunch of damage from the cast that like if we were to go back a little, you probably could have just spun and knocked him down, and that would have been a good thing to get in terms of space. Like knock him down onto here, come over here, and then when your team is set up to walk on them, then we pot gold and force them into our team's line of sight with our spam, right? And by the time the gold's done, we get a javelin back. That's how you cycle cooldowns on Orisa. Um, and we just kind of like, that's a kind of consistent thing I'd say in your Orisa gameplay. It's like you don't really use your spin well. Like here, it wouldn't have been a bad idea, I think, when you saw your bad pin down, to spin to take some space and disengage. And if we had the pot gold, it's fine, like our team died. But right, like, where's your team? Way back here. And like, maybe we think this Curious here, but she's not gonna kill us, right? We can always spin to come down this line if we're worried about eating some headshots. But there's a Mega here too. We're kind of like consistently going early on this map, right? We want to spin the Echo stickies or the Ana nade or something like that, right? We're just late with our spin, so Emor gets forced. We probably could have gotten. Oh, we did get the Mega. Or low health, right? Our Reaper has to fade out. We want to wait a sec. But here again, like, Your javelin spin makes you walk faster. Zen, Mei, Bab, they all don't have any mobility like that, and you really have to play as a core if you're going to play this comp. Especially because you're Mei at the ult, right? So you want the Mei in position to get a good ult, and you want to force them into some sort of corral to get a good ult. So we're like walking into, again, the middle of the point, in the middle of their team. And we're like surrounded on all sides. Like, another reason either we come out through here with our burrow comp, and then we can like kind of drop on them and force a fight at close range. Or we come this way, where Cass was, and we can force them on a point into the death trap. We get them all on point, maybe coming this angle, and then they're set up for a big blizzard, right? I think you guys actually win this? I don't remember. Yeah, crazy. Oh yeah, because you have Sentinel now. But that doesn't mean that what you did was like a great decision. Do you know what I mean? Okay, and this is good. But again, we could have probably spun this burst of damage. We probably didn't need to take this much armor damage. Here, you have your spin. I like that you didn't use gold. And here, I see something like that, like Bab fucked up a window, right? I'm gonna look to spin through it so that we can use it, especially with their trance out, just to take the space here. And these less mobile guys, I'm gonna spin up to be in front of them. And then I'm gonna start backing off, right? I want to keep on checking on them, right? We have our cooldowns. And also, you know, it's our team. We can't control where they are. If they are going to set up here, look for a wall on here, then I guess we have to play here. So then maybe we set up like on this angle and stop them from going around while our Mei locks down the choke. But probably we want to be getting back out to this high ground. Yeah. So like, their tank's coming this way. We walk over to meet him and instantly eat a javelin. And we know he's gonna do this, so we can pop our spin here. Right? And then we can pop our gold and he'll have to walk back because he's in this narrow corridor. The other option would be to like let him do that for a sec and stop anyone from coming this way. So that they're only pushing through this narrow corridor into a Mei, right? We're trying to kind of whack-a-mole them into their hidey hole here. But like we actually want them to come up a bit so that our Mei can get a good wall. Right? So maybe like I'm kind of okay with that and I just spam this guy so he can't do anything. And I can always javelin spin and push them out once this gold phase out into this corridor again. Or javelin spin to here. I don't love this position here. Probably to here. Right? Do you see how like that wall could have been so much better if you just let the Orisa walk up a little? He's just thinking about like where's my team and what are they trying to do? And then that ult was almost good, but the bell went off, right? And you can just hold it for the bell. You're still at full health, right? So I think there's GG on that first point. And now we're gonna switch characters, right? Junker Queen. Cool. So Junker Queen, it's a bit like a dude with a shotgun trying to raid a trench in World War One. Like you want to work your way from cover to cover and just like spamming as you go. The things I noticed on Junker Queen is you're pretty passive with your knife in general. In that there's more than a couple times in a neutral game you could look for a low percentage knife and just see if you get it. Just to spam damage on them, get bleed going, build your ult. And then also when people are close to you, like working in the melee spam, um, to get more healing for yourself. And also because it does that damage over time, right? It's a good source of extra damage. And there, although no shout out of spawn, you definitely probably should have shouted to speed your team out of spawn to get a better setup. So we're on this point. Um, we want to be working our way from cover to cover, shooting shotgun, and so if there's an opening, we can like shotgun people back, work our way here, or like most higher ranked matches, we're fighting for control of this. Because if we're here, that high ground can't do anything to us, right? We're hard to dislodge, and it gives us this high ground on the point, and these different delightful ways to push, right? But again, it's a hog. We don't want to have too much space between ourselves and the hog, where he can hook us, but we can't do that much damage to him. Right? Like we could have probably looked for a knife on the hog here. The hog, the tracer, the Curie, any one of them. If we get a knife on the hog, we don't have to pull him immediately. We can let it hang out there. He goes for his hook and misses, then we pull him, and then we axe him, right? Because he can't interrupt it. I like the shout. I would probably be looking for the Ana like a little earlier. This time your team gets the point. So again, it's like, where do we want to be for this fight? We want to place with a bunch of cover and like some short flanks so we can shoot, 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 come around, axe swing their back line all of a sudden, right? I don't mind making sure this lane is clear. You know there's soldiers up here, you know your homies are up here. But I want to be thinking about like where's the best place to take this fight with our Mei, especially. Right here. Right, we should be looking for a knife on this clump of dudes as they walk through there. And if we pull one down, then our team can really kill them, right? That's kind of what I mean. There's a couple opportunities like that where you just like kind of sit on all your cooldowns. Right? They're pushing high ground on us, and our instinct is if we kind of watch this. Like, we're not doing anything space-wise here. We're just walking around the low ground. And so we're like in this wide open space, and so like our whole team takes an anti, right? Or our Emort's forced. I think we're gonna win this fight, but it's like it's just kind of bad positioning, right? We're just kind of trying to shoot around a really strong cover, right? So the thing is, you guys have the point. They still have to go all the way over to here somehow to be able to get any capture progress, right? So if they have the high ground, it's annoying for sure, but you can just kind of wait. we can be cool at this position. We don't have to eat this much kind of bullshit, right? We can just play under them and catch them when they come down. We can play here and look for like a low percentage. We can just spam our knife probably through there. Maybe catch someone or catch a hog when he's trying to like come out here to look for a hook. We can play here. Maybe a little more dangerous. Although we could also get isolated over here, right? We can play on point and just wait for them to come. Okay? It's kind of like pretty low value. So I don't mind camping underneath them like this. But it's like when you cross back into this thing. Like, you say you play support. If I'm on it, I'm waiting for you guys to do this or hit like a massive nade, right? The hog can get a free hook here. The soldier will be able to spam you guys. You just like... And you don't do a lot of damage in this distance anyway, right? And there you go, you catch a hook. There's like no reason to take this hook. Right? We could have been looking for a knife in any of the last like 5-10 seconds. And now you have the good fight, right? So like, do you see how the positioning, like they were forced to rotate because you guys finally got into cover from the high ground over here, and then they were like, well shit, we can't do anything from here. I guess we'll come down here and work our way on the ground. And then you came and took the fight in the small room. And we get a good ult.
How many was that? Almost time for a rampage.
Right? And then I started up, but look where everyone is. Your team's like up there, right? So we need to support them with our positioning somehow. A couple things you could do. And we killed them all, right? So I would probably just like come up these stairs and be here and hold this down so they can't walk as easily, because we get this nice little bridge here that they have to come across. Easy knives, easy to back off, a lot of damage we can do here. Probably would play this corner so that we can back around this one, and then we have another good spot to hold them in. And we can look for knives this way. But it can be like a position to support them too. If you like had your ult, you could even just like wait for them here and wait for them to go up the stairs or catch someone who's going the other lane. Or we could support them by playing sort of maybe here. Maybe even here if we're smart about not walking down this hallway with Hog chasing us with Hook. But there's this Mega here, so it's sort of doable. And that would keep them in the line of sight of your team. Right?
Let's take them out.
But here we're just kind of backing out to here. This does nothing for your space. You're just giving it space for like free. And the soldier's alone. So if we'd been like here or something proactive, we probably could have just like killed him. We could have hit a knife first, pulled him in, axed, meleeed, whatever, and he's dead. Yeah. You can see how much damage you eat there? I don't mind the shout, but it's kind of forced. Like, you don't do anything. And yeah, this is the play. They're playing Sig. When he does this like thing, you axe him when he does his grasp, or you melee him. He can't do anything about it. He needs to hit his rock on you. I don't mind the timing of this all. It wasn't the best in terms of aim, but it was like a good idea. Land a melee on Ana here. When people are near to you, melee on Sig. land a throw, right? You see what I mean? You kind of sit on your things. I like your axe timing.
Come take the point with me.
Yeah, that's the cooldown you use the best. Knife is sort of the worst, I think. There we go.
Let the Kitsune guide you.
Get ready for a fight.
Ready for battle.
Okay,
Watch
and
your
we're like
flanks.
still on the
They might
Junker
try
Queen.
something.
Now, on my first watch, I was right about this. I kind of figured like it seems like you struggle on maps with a lot of open space, where it's like you need to figure out how to get to the place you want to have the fight, the close range fight, and then maps like the one we're just on, Lighthouse. That one's like a little clearer in terms of like there's specific areas that are good to fight in for brawl, and because your team controlled the point, you're able to like set up for those a little better, right? But I kind of thought you might struggle on well, and we'll like see how that happens.
2, 1. Round 3. Capture.
Do. So again, this point, right? 3 lanes again, right? 1, 2, coast. 3, outside or right. Yeah. So we've come in. They're taking right lane. That's fine. We can take left here. Right is they're both kind of equivalent, right? Right lane's kind of short, but then if someone on our team takes this high ground, they can kind of get spanned out. This other side doesn't have quite the same weakness. It's more weak to like flankers coming around through these little, because it's got these little like back and like this little outside path and stuff. Like a tracer over here can use this mini, and it's like really annoying for you guys, or has access to your back line. And then this high ground's a little less accessible. You have like a BAP who can jump up here though. Lifeweaver could maybe pull someone up. So I don't know. There's nothing wrong with on Queen in general working over here so that we can, because most people like default to this location, so that we can work our way over here and kind of force people back because we're like whittling people with a shotgun and hiding in cover like in World War One, right? So right now we need to be thinking, how am I going to push these guys out of here? What's the route I'm going to take? That's definitely not through this way. That has some cover. We can get a nice short flank on them. This way is good, but they probably will anticipate you because they can see you coming. You can also look at what your team's setting up to do and just kind of like wait for them to do something. Someone's going to have to step in the open on the point, right? Like, I don't mind this position here. We could have looked for a knife probably in the last 10 seconds of gameplay. So for Orisa, you don't want to be walking at her when she can stop you from doing that, and when she can drill you with a bunch of damage. Like, do you see how much damage you just took trying to do this? Um, so we want to swing our axe at her when we can hit it. The javelin spin kind of pushes us away. Right, so this moment. Okay, we see them in this room. We're like, we can get a big axe maybe. Right? So we just don't land any of our cooldowns or get anything from a shout, right? This is a pretty good matchup into this. We wanted to wait for gold to wear off before we moved in. There's no reason that her coming in this room is super dangerous to us. Exactly. Because she needs to push out this door if she's going to do that. So we walk here, we get her to rotate in the room, great. Now we look for a different way around. Imagine if we'd gone this way and she started rotating and then we shouted and came back around this way. Kill his soldier, like, no problem, right? We get our Emart force. Right? You're just not going to be able to do more damage to Orisa than she is to you walking, covering this distance on a straight line. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? We find this guy. And this I don't mind so much, although we should have heard the soldier. We could have killed him for free, right? We're a little too much in this particular map and matchup. We're trying too much to, like, run towards the Orisa. And that's space to us. Right? Again, she blocks your axe. I don't like that you meleeed that guy. But we just don't want to be doing this, right? We're kind of not, we don't really have a clear idea of how to play into her. We want to be a short distance from her. We could keep spamming her, but we don't want to be walking straight at her with her gun. We want to be catching her on a back foot.
Beat me! Like hell you will!
Where's my mouth?
Let them up!
Right, and here they've already cut the point. We don't need to be feeding into them. This is a reset, right? And with their soldier and stuff, and this is another time you walk down a really long sight line and just take a bunch of damage from all these dudes. Right, we'll try it again. I like that you went after the soldier with the sights to stop him. That was useful space. But now we're just... like, we just keep going this way a bunch. Into so much spam. They have this lane, like, pretty locked down, right? And it's creating a lot of pressure on our healers to keep us up. Because we keep going critical, right? So, okay, they're going to do that. That's fine. This lane's open. Right? I don't think you want to come this way either. But we could shout and make like a big rotation this way. Get into this area, right? We could do like what Soldier had done. We could have pushed this way and we forced him out. And now we're here and we can draw it down. Take this short like flank, right? We could come out, even pushing around this is so much shorter. We can get to here probably, and it's hard for them to force us out with damage. But this long thing and having to round a corner and stuff and then not have a good place to back up, that's really what's kind of screwing you.
Life protects life!
Right? And so we do get this eventually, but a bunch of our ults are forced, a bunch of our resources are forced. So do you see how like it's just putting your team on a back foot in a lot of ways. And now again, we hold here, this gives them that long line of sight, which we know they can walk and we kind of can't, right? So we need to like preload our positioning to something that's going to be good for us. And that can be here. Because you can damage them and threaten this flank. Right? Or, like your Bad's doing, we could come up here. And now we can be really, really annoying and oppressive. This way, we can keep people off the high ground, right? We'll work our way over here. Go around and drop down. It's like a lot of options, right? We could be going for a knife here. right? And there's another like really long straight backup. And that's what's gonna happen. We're just like caught out and then we're just on the back foot. Okay.
Pick up your feet, you drunk.
All that said, still maybe winnable. It's a long knife, you hit it, right? But you have your ult now, so it doesn't really benefit you as much. Survived that, fine. We don't want to get javelin for ult. We catch this guy. That's what I mean, like that was their weak lane, right? We could have been looking for that a lot sooner instead of just walking this Orisa spam over and over. I don't mind the idea of this, but the timing, when it golds out and stuff, like she's gotta live this. We wanted to still set up and anticipate what our team wants to do, right? We got our life weaver ult, we've got our BAP window coming out. We want to be like forcing him back. I think this game goes on a little longer, but it's an L. So I know I'm like a little all over the place with this, but what I really think you need to work on in your gameplay is like being more of that NFL lineman. And that doesn't mean I'm gonna go fight the other big guy exactly. It's like what they do is they set an edge, right? Um, and you need to be thinking like, where do I need to, like, where is the space that I need? I'm waiting for them to walk through that, then the fight's good for my team. Like, and it's also just checking on your team and what they're playing and like what that means in terms of where you need to force the other team to be or force them to stay, right? Because kind of basically the thing that's going on here is like your pressure is kind of scattered and it's like too early most of the time. And then by the time they're like coming to a place where you do want to be applying pressure, you don't have any cooldowns and you're forced to like back up over these long distances and then you eat a bunch of spam and then your healers freak out because they're critical and then either your team ults and you win the fight or you just lose because of how much damage you're taking instead of like taking a second to reset or using cooldowns early from a safe place and then get those cooldowns back and then it's our turn to go again, right? So it's kind of like this thing of like each team takes turns in Overwatch, and the turns can happen really fast, but there are turns. Like if you have Emort, that means you can push and be a little risky, and your team can drop Emort, and that's like their get out of jail free card. But then when you don't have Emort, you can't hold areas as much. You have to back off, right? And it's kind of like that push and pull is the thing that you really need to sort of identify. But that like fundamentally that starts with just like a little better making better reads of the playing field of like they're set up here. My team wants to set up this way. My tracer's behind them. I want to force them to retreat and where my tracer's gonna be. You know, my widow's looking down this line of sight. I want to force them to back up into that line of sight, into that shooting gallery. I'm playing Junker Queen. I want this kind of corner to hold. I'm playing Rein and want this other type of corner to hold, right? And and that's kind of thing. And then this hero specific stuff of just like on Junker Queen, looking for those knives like a little more, looking for the melees a little more. On Orisa, looking for your spin, like trying to use your spin first, then your gold, then your spin again because it comes off. Um, and then, yeah, on Ryan, it's like when do you take damage on your shield and where can you actually swing on them like safely, like from a corner that has a way for you to back off. So hope that's helpful.